Today we'll talk about Medusa vs. the Gorgons. Who was the most terrifying? Medusa, the name alone still sends shivers down the spine. But was she truly the most terrifying of the Gorgons, or just the most famous? Today we re-diving deep into Greek mythology to uncover the truth about Medusa and her equally fearsome sisters. Let's start with the basics. The Gorgons were three monstrous sisters, Stheno, Euryale, and Medusa. According to ancient Greek mythology, they were the daughters of the sea deities Phorcys and Ceto. Each sister was described as having snakes for hair, bronze hands, and wings of gold. Anyone who gazed directly into their eyes would be turned to stone. But here's where things get interesting. Medusa was the only mortal among the three. Her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, were immortal, meaning they could never be killed. This fact alone might make them seem more terrifying. After all, you could never defeat them. Medusa's story, however, is the one that has captured imaginations for centuries. In the most well-known myth, Medusa wasn't always a monster. Some versions say she was once a beautiful maiden who served as a priestess in Athena's temple. But after an encounter with Poseidon in the temple, sometimes told as a romantic meeting, sometimes as an assault, Athena cursed her, transforming her hair into venomous serpents and making her face so horrifying that anyone who looked at her would turn to stone. This transformation is why Medusa stands out from her sisters. She is often seen as a tragic figure, a victim of the gods' wrath, rather than a purely evil monster. In many ways, her story is about punishment, power, and revenge. So who was the most terrifying? Let's compare. Stheno, the eldest sister, was considered the most ferocious. Ancient texts say she killed more men than both of her sisters combined. Her name literally means the strong one. Euryale, the middle sister, was known for her piercing, brass-like scream that could shake the earth itself. Her name means far-roaming, suggesting she might have been a wandering, hunting predator. Medusa, meanwhile, was deadly because she was mortal. She could be hunted, and therefore she could fight back. This made her the perfect target for a hero like Perseus. The story of Perseus is where Medusa's fame truly skyrockets. Armed with a mirrored shield from Athena, a sword from Hermes, and winged sandals, Perseus set out to slay Medusa. Using the reflection of her face in the shield to avoid her deadly gaze, he crept up on her while she slept and beheaded her in one swift stroke. From her severed neck sprang two legendary creatures, Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, a giant or warrior depending on the myth. The fact that Medusa's death gave birth to Pegasus has fascinated storytellers for centuries. It shows that even in death, she was a source of wonder and magic. Her head, now a powerful weapon, was given to Athena, who placed it on her shield, the Aegis, to strike fear into enemies forever. But here's the question. Does her death make her less terrifying than her sisters, who still roam free? Or does the fact that she continues to petrify us through her myth, her image carved into shields, temples, and even jewelry in ancient Greece, make her the most terrifying of them all? Many scholars argue that Medusa's power lies not in her ability to kill, but in what she represents. The fear of the unknown, of feminine rage, of the divine punishment that can't be avoided. Stheno and Euryale might have been more dangerous in battle, but Medusa became a cultural icon, a universal symbol of dread. So in the end, who was the most terrifying? If we're counting raw strength and kill count, Stheno probably takes the crown. But if we're talking about cultural impact, lasting fear, and sheer mythological power, Medusa reigns supreme. She is the Gorgon that still petrifies us, not just with her gaze, but with her story. Before we wrap this up, I want to address something. You see, we tend to think of Medusa as inherently evil, a monster who deserved her fate. And yes, there are elements of tragedy in her story, but it's crucial to remember that Medusa didn't choose to be a Gorgon. She was born that way. Her sisters weren't punished for any wrongdoing. They were cursed. Born of the primordial sea deities Phorcys and Ceto, they existed long before the Olympian gods took over Mount Olympus. Their mother Ceto was so hated by the gods that Zeus ordered all her offspring, the monsters of the sea, to be destroyed. It's hard to imagine a more hostile environment for these creatures. In that context, it makes sense that they would be wild, dangerous, and fierce. They were products of their environment, yet despite being cursed, Medusa was slain, her head chopped off by a hero. Her sisters still live, hiding in the waters, eternally young and unaging, immortal yet alone. In their immortality, there's a chilling emptiness. They exist outside the bounds of humanity, beyond compassion and understanding. Could they be more terrifying than Medusa, trapped in her monstrous form and denied an escape? That's for you to decide. Here are my thoughts. Though Medusa may have started out as a human, I don't believe her monstrosity was just physical. Yes, she had snakes for hair and a gaze that could turn men to stone. But she was also reviled by other gods. She was disliked by Poseidon and Athena, even though she was used as a pawn between them. And she was clearly feared by the other monsters, as she was called the most terrible of them all. I think she earned her reputation as a fearsome creature, not just because of how she looked or because of what she could do, but because of the chaos she brought into the lives of the gods. She was a force of nature, beautiful, terrifying, and unpredictable. To me, it's that combination that makes Medusa the most terrifying of all the Gorgons. But what do you think? Which Gorgon strikes the most fear into your heart? Medusa, the infamous and misunderstood, or her sisters, the lesser-known but perhaps even more powerful Steno and Euryale? Your thoughts matter. Share them below. And if you enjoyed this journey through Greek mythology, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Together, let's explore the myths and monsters that have captivated humanity for millennia. Remember, the darkest depths of mythology hold the most fascinating monsters. And with your support, we can dive into the stories that shaped our world. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of mythology.